I'm Donna Hudgens, Public Relations Director of the Virginia Symphony, and today I'm talking with Mike Daniels, our principal cello. This weekend, Mike will be performing a new work by John Tavener, Popule Meus. It has been performed only once before, and this Friday night at the Ferguson Center, and on Saturday night at Chrysler Hall, you'll be able to hear Mike perform this new work. Mike, tell me a little bit about the work itself, about John Tavener's work, and this piece in particular. I guess you've been rehearsing it for a long time.
Yes, I started, I got this music in October, so I started, practicing it even back then. John Tavener's music is almost exclusively spiritual in nature, and this is no exception. The cello, solo cello, represents the divine element, and the timpani. This is written for cello, solo, timpani, and strings. And the timpani represents man and his rejection of the Almighty, the divine. And so this is sort of what happens is sort of a play. We go back and forth in this piece between, you hear the timpani with man's rejection. You hear quite a lot of violent chords in the timpani, and then you hear out of that comes the divine, sort of serene voice of the cello.
Now, since this has only been performed once before, what's it like to perform essentially the U.S. premiere of this piece and one that really doesn't have a lot of previous performance? Does that impact how you have approached it?
Well, I think what's impacting me is the fact that I was fortunate enough to be able to hear the world premiere. Because it's, it was done in February, I believe February 6th or 7th in Canada with the Winnipeg Symphony. And so unlike, say, earlier this year when Vaughn and Beverly did the Raj Baran thing, that was something that they had never heard. So it's a little different. It's helpful, of course, for me to actually hear what it sounds like, and I'd say, fortunate that I can take some of the ideas that he did, the cellist whose name Yuri Hooker, to take some of his ideas that maybe I wouldn't have thought about, and use them. And then, of course, I'm using my own ideas of the piece too, and of course, I've tried to contact Mr. Tavener, been unsuccessful so far, but I want to try and talk with him just about his ideas too, specific ideas.
Oh, that would be great. Mike, what have you found challenging about this work?
Well, there's two things that are really challenging about it. One is the register is very high, pretty much throughout the entire piece. So
that
you
gives
have
you
to
a
have
workout.
Yes, you have to have stamina, because obviously the fingerboard's higher, the string's higher off the fingerboard, way up there, so your fingers are working harder than they have hopefully in the last few months. The second thing is that's really difficult is he is well known for just long, just playing long melodies, and there are, this is what most guitar does in this, and you need to be able to have great bow control with these phrases, and you kind of got to come to some conclusions of where you're going to change the bow, and how can you keep the bow changes from sounding like they're happening. You don't really have enough bow for what he really wants. So
That does sound like a challenge. What should our audiences listen for, I guess? You mentioned earlier about the kind of conversation between the timpani and the strings and the cello. But for a concert goer, what should they listen for at the concert, or try to hear in the work?
Yeah, well, I think you should listen. Of course, the cello has the serene voice, the voice of the divine. The timpani, of course, is going to be very boisterous and man's rejection.
And does our timpanist love that?
I'm sure he's going to enjoy this piece. Then the strings, to listen for what the strings do, they are a support for either. So they support the serenity of the divine voice with a background, serene background, and then when the timpani is going away, then they are sort of helping along with that too. So you can hear the differences.
That's good. That's good. If you would like to hear Mike Daniels perform this work, please feel free to call the Symphony box office or to visit us online and join us Friday night at the Ferguson Center, April 2nd, or Saturday night at Chrysler Hall.